The government is not involved in settling people. What we have is a situation where we have a number of Australian citizens who made a terrible decision.
So it's this cohort known as the isisbrides. They are Australian citizens who are married to ISIS fighters for a range of reasons. They've remained in Syria following the collapse of the Islamic State in 2019. We're now seeing a slow trickle of them return to Australia, keeping in mind that they are Australian citizens. Under the Coalition and Labor government, they've repatriated 2 groups, but most recently we've had a group consisting of 2 women and 4 children returned back to Australia on September 26th. So following the collapse of the Islamic State in 2019, they stayed at a refugee camp in Syria. Eventually they escaped and made their way to Beirut in Lebanon, where they were detained because they didn't have the necessary visa paperwork. Since June, Home Affairs has been aware that they've been trying to make their way back into Australia. Now, the main question here is whether they did this with government assistance. Home Affairs officials and government officials have said that this wasn't done with any sort of formal government assistance. They weren't repatriated and they made their way back to Australia on September 26th through personal travel, essentially.
When Australian citizens seek to return to Australia, they are able to do so. There have been 2 times that there were repatriations, one under this government, one under the previous government. There have also been repeated occasions where people have returned of their own volition.
They're Australian citizens, so there's nothing stopping them from returning, and that's what the government has been saying. Now, they're facing quite a bit of pressure at the moment because the Coalition is questioning, essentially, whether they assisted in the return. So something through like repatriation flights or government-assisted travel, that kind of thing. We do know that 2 of the 4 kids have been given Australian passports. That's because they were perhaps born overseas. We also know that the AFP are currently conducting an investigation involving this cohort of 6 women and children. We don't know where they've resettled. We know it's something counterterrorism related and managing Australia's national security, but the details are sort of, slim because it is an active investigation. So we're probably going to see this isisbride story sort of continue to sort of be a pain in Labor's side. There's going to be continued questions about what role Labor played, who knew what when. So far we know that Labor were briefed, or at least the Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke was briefed in June prior to their arrival, and also briefed the day before their arrival and a few days after. And we also know that there's an ongoing investigation about this, so we're probably going to get more details as things continue. In terms of what this means for Labor, however, I'm sure they're going to continue to face questions from the Coalition about why they weren't, more transparent about these details, and also why Anthony Albanese denied the reports of this sort of happening in early September when the story was first broken by The Australian.